Yeah, I learned to stay strong. Concrete in the dirt I was raised on. Know how to put in work. Grinding all day, you know it's game on. My skin is thick, yeah, it's tough. Running, yeah, we stay alive. Ain't gotta look nowhere else. All of this greatness inside.
Woo! Welcome to All About the Grind. I'm the host, Brett Blankenship, episode 38. Creating options through chaos and living through uncertainty. I like it. So I'm here by myself. We were stood up tonight by I think I was our third guest. So 37 episodes, 38 episodes, 3 guests. I think this may be 4. One was twice. So he was the one and only that I said I'll never again do it. So if they missed that one opportunity to participate, then we move on. So it's pretty neat as I was sitting here taking notes about some things, because there's been some things on my mind. I'm absolutely living in uncertainty right now. And so how to live through, process, make decisions in uncertain times. That can be tricky because there's so many Monday morning quarterbacks. It is so easy to say God's got you, or just hang on, or they spit a Bible verse at you. I have nothing against any of that. But what, when, and where do I get my answers? And how? Right? You start throwing all those questions out, and it can get very complex. You know, I had a lot of men that were around me. I have a lot of men that are around me, mentors, and they use really funny one-liners. Things like, if you spot it, you got it. So if something's irritating me about somebody, I have to start looking within. I'm like, oh, crud. It's right there for me as well. So where do I draw that wisdom? I mean, you could go to church. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible. Heck, you could take Proverbs alone. But I memorized Proverbs, and I still made some stupid decisions in life. And I've been around a lot of others that have made silly decisions. I find that I'm not that unique, that my story resonates with a lot of people. And I think that's why we're growing. And by the way, if you do enjoy this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We do get goofy at times, but there is a purpose to this. And it's to find the deeper meaning to who, what, when, where, why. So where do I draw my wisdom? I got to be careful, because there's a lot of intelligent people in this world that are idiots. But they'll sound good. And it may even work in their scenario. But I got to filter it through every little detail. Man, that's a lot. Well, then a lot of people run to psychologists and counselors, and I understand that. And there is a place and a time for all that, much like there is a doctor. But I think there's so often, man, I can lean on others so often I don't do my own work. And I got to do my own work, man. I got to chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. I got to keep this for me. I got to keep this life simple, because I can complicate it up so fast. I also am on TikTok Live. And so right here, what y'all see on the YouTube, there's TikTok Live here. So there's people live here that are watching. And somebody mentioned, Miss Patty mentioned, friends and families are a blessing. And they are. But blessings don't necessarily, for me, and I'm not talking about you. She's in a big, I believe it's Greek, right? You're a Greek family. Beautiful Greek family. So I didn't have that. I didn't have the big family. There's certainly plenty of advice from my family. They'll give me all the advice in the world. Oh, you're not Greek. Okay. You just have a big family. But there's plenty of advice given to me, unsolicited. Italian. Okay, she's Italian. Greek and Italian in family tightness, pretty close. But yeah, I didn't have that as much. So where was I going to get my wisdom? I mean, I know my uncles. They're good people, just not that close. And blood relatives, good people. They're just busy. They have a life, I have a life, and we move. Even my children, it's difficult. I mean, they are on the road all the time. I have one in the Air Force. He's in Japan. I have one that still plays baseball, and he travels a lot. And I have one in college, and she is very busy. And, you know, life gets busy. Life gets busy. Besides, I'm not going to, you know, my adult children, I can get some wisdom out of. And I do enjoy my older boys and my youngest, my middle boy, and even my daughter. They each bring something special into my life. But if I'm making tough decisions like I am now in business and in life and in finance, sure, you can go pay for an accountant and you can have this and you can have that. But that deep spiritual move of which way do I go? And I'm not talking about a religious move or that God. I'm talking about the spiritual side. You know, because there's a head and there's a mind and a heart that has to tie in for me. Because I have to have peace about my move. I've learned this as I've gotten older. I don't move too quick. And I doubt every decision that comes in my head. I don't trust my own brain. So I filter it through other people. See, I agree with that right there. Patty backed up and said, actually, my friends, whom I choose to call family, my family is different. I mean, I have a relationship with my family. But I absolutely, who I call friend can often be family. So I can come up with great ideas in my head, but how do I know if they're right? Because I've had some pretty wanky ideas. So I got to have people that I run it through. And they all have to have their own little different skill set. I can't pick the same type of individual. I've got to have a ball buster. I've got to have a nurturer. I've got to have, and that can be the same person. You know, I've got to have a logical person. I've got to have an emotional person. I have to have quite a few people, or they at least have to have those assets and be able to communicate them to me in a direct manner. The first thing that has to happen for me is they can't worry about my emotions. We're going to get to that. She brought up a good point. I mean, you don't know you brought up a good point. We're going to get to that. But I have to check my emotions at the door. Because if I'm making emotional decisions, I'm heading down the wrong road for me. And I am telling my story. I don't think I'm unique, but just so it keeps it in my world and I tell my story and no one can tell me what my story is other than me. I lived it. Listen, we're safety first, always, and all about the grind. TikTok can't see it, but I showed it to him earlier. There's a rooster with a pink helmet on. But I digress. And so when I get the wisdom, how do I discern it that is actually the right wisdom? Because I'm going to tell you something. If there is a higher power, there's got to be some kind of lower power. And whatever that battle is that goes on, I call it spiritual warfare. Whatever you want to call it, the enemy can speak so close to what God sounds like, to what my God sounds like. I mean, so close. Even the reverberations. So I have to be careful. I can't trust what I think I hear. I filter it through other people and what I call litmus tests. And, I was taught this. So I got to have the right people in place or go, yeah, that's a stupid idea. Miss Becky's on here. I told her something I was looking at doing in business, and her response was very quick, to the point, and somewhat aggressive if you didn't know her. This was a long time ago. But it made it very clear, where she stood, and I didn't have to guess. So I could make good decisions based on what somebody honestly and, authentically shared with me. And I think that's one of the foundations is authenticity. If I'm truly not looking for a solution, it could be staring me right in the face and I'm not going to see it. But how do I know if I'm looking for a solution? What? I'm going to trust me? I'm going to trust me to know if I'm looking for a solution, because I'm going to process it in my head, and then I'm going to go and tell the whole world what I've come up with. That's like going to court, in my opinion. I have no license. That's like going to court and you are your own representation. I don't trust this brain. This brain's made some really good decisions in life. It's made some really bonehead decisions in life. So I'm not really wanting to go and gamble on whether or not, I'm heading in the right direction. So I have men that I tell my stories to, and they either chuckle at me, and see, one of the viewers was like, well, the worst is if you overanalyze it. And that's true. That's why I come up with the ideas to the best of my decision. What they taught me to do was to gather all the information I could to the best of my decision, make the best educated decision I could by filtering it through many different variables, and which are people, getting their wisdoms, being able to discern which is just, unsolicited advice and which is valuable decisions. Recognizing that my brain cannot and will not come up with a proper decision without help. It just won't do it. That doesn't mean I can't come up with ideas, but I still filter it through business partners and life and my children. And, when it's personal decisions, I bring people involved. And my greatest asset today, and I dare say living through uncertainty, the ability to say, I don't know. People got to know everything. We have to be experts in everything. Everything. We can't ever say, I don't know, or your way's better. I like it. It breaks us. I don't get it. It's not that hard to go, I was wrong. What can I do to make it right? And then they taught me to shut up and listen. Man, that moment right there, that's where healing is. That's where relationships are healed. That's where businesses grow. It's where books are written. Children are formed. It's in that authentic bubble right there, that hybrids between spiritual and physical. And it's that little gap in between right there. But it's a transition point. But that transition point is so crucial, because if I filter it through looking for the differences, I don't stand a chance. But you let me just change that one little filter to filtering it through the similarities, looking for the similarities. My gosh, there's a wealth of wisdom. I mean, simple wisdoms. And I missed them for so long because I didn't understand that transition point. I didn't understand that was the most crucial part. Not hearing the plan and the unsolicited advice and filtering those to see if they work. What an exhausting journey. Too many people to listen to, because everybody has an idea. I have to remain vulnerable. I was supposed to turn that off. Hang on a second. I'm going to turn that phone off. Hang on a second. It's a retail store, people. What do you want? Okay, if you call the store right now, we can't hear you. It's busy. So if you call the store, we won't hear you. Sorry about that. But this is in this podcast area is in an actual retail store. So we're closed on Mondays. And here's the other thing. What's right for you may not be right for me. There's so many different variables that have to be filtered. And I can't do it alone. So I need help. And my help is through men and women that I watch. And I find the skill sets that benefit me, a nurturer, an ass kicker, ball buster, brutally honest. I mean, I need people in my life that are going to tell it like it is. But they all have to have one thing in common. They have to be brutally honest. If they're gonna bullshit me, if they're gonna bullshit them, they're gonna bullshit me. And the minute I smell BS, I have to back up because my life depends on it. I'll make bad choices without proper information fed to me, and I can't come up with it on my own. This is just the way my brain works, and it benefits me. So whether in business or in life or in the tough decisions I'm in right now, I go to other people. And then here's the tough part. And then I have to gather all the information I can. I make the best decision I can, and then I have to wait. And waiting is so hard. And then I got to avoid the roadblocks. There are so many roadblocks to allowing that decision because it's almost like, for me, it's almost like watering a plant. You pour the wisdom in at the top, and it begins to filter through with the nutrients. And it takes a little while to get to the bottom. And so I don't always know when to move until I have that peace. And that peace may be defined in a different way for you than it is for me. And I think that's where understanding your language as a human comes in. And the only way to do that for me is to be authentic. And the only way to be authentic is to be brutally honest. And what do you know? Brutal honesty offends people. Why do you think that is? Because there's a truth trying to get out in this world, and it's coming out in bigger people than bozos like me. Go listen to some of the music that's out there today. Teddy Swims and Jelly Roll, Shabuzi, and on and on. I mean, there's an awakening of the spiritual side of the journey that we're on in this world. That it's not just about the fat rings and the fancy houses. And this next generation, in my opinion, and I got one coming on, but this next generation, in my opinion, has got it better figured out than even Generation X did. And I think it's really cool. There's a shift going that I see. You guys tell me what you see. But what I see is a shift to normality, and less is more. I don't know how they got there. So back to the roadblocks. Fear-based emotions. If I have fear-based emotions anywhere in trying to live through uncertainty, if I have any kind of a fear-based emotion, I might as well stop. And so I spend a lot of time, for me, dealing with my fear-based emotions. And I can have some absolute have you ever had that fire in your gut and you feel like you're going to faint? I mean, it just begins to swell, and it's just, it's it's a panic, but it's not a immediate. It's just a growing. Oh my gosh. Man, I got hit with some phone calls last year, the beginning of this year. And another one I even got hit with was about 3.5 months ago. That absolutely is going to change my life. Gut punch. I mean, that's why they call it a gut punch, because I felt it in my gut. I literally had my hands on my shorts and I was just leaning over. And I couldn't say much. And I think that's when my God likes to move, is when I don't have any other good ideas. I can't do this alone. It takes a community for me. And there's a song by the Sons of Legion called Angels, where it talks about we're always looking up. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it. But it talks about we're always looking up and looking for this and that and the other. And God, the God that I know uses humans a lot. And what if we are the angels? A fast way for me, if I don't have the solution to anything, when I hit that roadblock, if it's fear-based, I stop and I deal with it. How I deal with fear-based is I get into other people's problems. I start reaching out to others. And there's many ways to do it. But when I start reaching out to others, I don't have as much time to spend on the woes of my first world problems. And then while I'm reaching out to others, my mind gets to get settled in those people, because I do have empathy for people. But I work really hard not to have sympathy. There's a big difference. This equation for me does not work with sympathy. Sympathy is, aw. Empathy is, I've been there. I know what it feels like. Let me show you the way out. Now, I'm not saying empathy says, let me show you the way out, but it's understanding without being emotionally drawn into it. We are an emotion-based country. Watch us drive. Watch me drive. It's emotion-based. Hang on one second. I got to block one bozo. Okay. We're good. I always find it interesting, the people that show up when we start hitting good topics, because I believe in spiritual warfare. Just saying. Sympathy over empathy. Anger over action. Now, I'm not saying there's not an angry phase and that there's not a time. I like the beach because the beach is loud. So you can get to the beach and you can yell a little bit. I yell. Yelling can be healthy. Tears can be healthy. There's nothing wrong with that. There's actually healthy anger. It's in the Bible. Big Jesus went into the tabernacles and tossed them bad boys out. He didn't say, hey guys, do y'all mind leaving? He got a cat of nine tails, he had got a whip, which most of them back then, they would put glass and, especially when they were crucifying somebody, but they would put glass and nails and everything on the very end. So when they whipped you, it would lock into your skin. And when they pull, I may not be able to say that here. Bye-bye. I don't care. That's why I have 2 accounts here. It's more for YouTube. And so when he walked into the tabernacle and they were selling unclean animals and everything, he was tossing tables and tossing people. I don't think he was talking nicely when he was doing that. I believe he was cussing. I don't know. I can't prove it, but that's just me. It's the way I see it. And then the last is trusting with no filter. If I just take someone's opinion and I run with it without filtering it through sound business principles, sound spiritual principles, sound social principles. Oh, I'm going to make some mistakes. Y'all are almost, for me, like my Chat GPT before Chat GPT. You find the things wrong in what I do that I need to hear, because if I'm to grow, I've got to be in the uncomfortable. And the only way I want to be uncomfortable is if I get challenged. So if I don't let people challenge me, how the hell am I going to grow? Think about basic high school sports, JV sports, whatever was the furthest you nerds played in. I was a nerd, by the way. I can say that. I was not a smart nerd. I was just a nerd. Socially awkward. I don't even think the nerds would accept me. I think that would be an insult to them because they were very smart. I don't know what I was. That's what this whole journey is about. Come along, don't. So if I am trusting with no filters, I'm making a mistake for me. Meaning if I'm just taking somebody's opinion and I'm running with it, like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, I'm going to be running and bouncing all over the place. So how do I pick my filters? And for me, filters are humans. For you, it may be a spiritual book. I just got to be careful with the spiritual books. We read so much in these great biblical books and spiritual books, and I see people reading, and I did it, read all this great stuff, and I don't live one little thing in there. I simplified mine. It's the same spiritual walk. It's just, if I can't live the golden rule, what the hell am I doing worrying about anything else? If I can't do unto others as I would want them to do unto me, if I can't give a damn about somebody else more than I give a damn about my problems, if I can't care about their problems more, and I'm not saying it's easy, but if I don't have the ability to do that, I have no business this is my opinion. Nothing you can do about it. I have no business going any further. I need to stop right there. Otherwise, I'm building a house with no foundation. And any house with no foundation is going to fall. For me. So I got to pick good filters. For me, the first thing is trust but verify. That's not that far off. But there's got to be a reason. She's saying, one of the TikTok young ladies is saying, the day that you get to the point that you don't care about what someone else thinks about you is the day you reach maturity. A lot of truth in that. But if I'm not caring what someone thinks about me and they are part of my filter group, I'm screwed. Because then I could not be caring about something that's going to be leading me down, let me know that I'm about to make a serious mistake. I got involved with Orange Crush, the historical Black College Festival. It's their spring break. I'm not involved with them anymore, have nothing to do with them for a few years. But when I was involved, it was a mess because I was violating sound business principles, and I was in it for the right reasons. My heart was there for the right reasons. My intentions were good, but intentions do not drive me. Otherwise, in court, if you don't intend to hurt someone, well, then you shouldn't have to go to prison or jail or get any kind of punishment. But in court, they go, intentions don't matter. Yeah, because they're saying agreeing to disagree is sometimes, a common practice amongst close friends. Because sometimes those friends aren't for me. And I agree with you, Patty. But sometimes for me, those friends are not the right friend circle to ask. They're not the filter group for that problem. If I have a financial problem, I have a certain filter group I go to. If I have a human behavior problem with business people, then I have other people I go to. I don't have many one-stop shop people. If I need to be heard, I know who to go to. She spends a lot of time in my store, in our store. You know, there's a lot of support around me. Now, there are people that do multiple things, like Miss Becky. She brings a lot. She brings multiple things into my life. But I have to be so careful to make sure I have the right filters. So I have to trust but verify. So that takes time. God, I hate waiting. Oh my gosh. Don't make me wait. Please don't make me wait. Please, anything but making me wait. My greatest punishment to my children as they got older, because I knew they came from me, and so I knew they thought very similar to me in certain ways, is I would talk. I didn't punish them physically. Is I would begin to talk in a lecture form of some sort, and we'd be talking. And if they ever took their eyes off of me or like lost their concentration on what we were talking about, I would just stop talking and I would sit there without moving. I'd be like this. And as soon as they turned back and looked at me and quit wiggling around, I would start the conversation over. I mean, totally over. I mean, totally. If we were 15 minutes into it, we were going to start over to the best of my ability. I would re-orchestrate the conversation. I can't tell you how many times they did it 2 and 3 times before they figured out I need to sit here and at least act like I'm listening. And my middle boy has said this many times. He goes, I wish you had spanked me. He goes, it was worse. So I wait because I hate waiting. And that which I don't want to do is exactly what I need to be doing most of the time, as long as it's healthy and legal. And so I wait. But what am I waiting on? I don't know. I got to have other filters. And there you go for me. So I trust but verify. I'm looking to see if those words speak the same language the actions speak. I don't have to set litmus tests up. The world will set them up for me. I just got to watch and be willing to accept what I see. That's where my gut is supposed to be used for me. That's the healthy spot that my gut is to get involved. If I use my gut up front, I'm going to make mistakes. If I use my gut in the back, I've already made mistakes. But if I use my gut right there in the discernment and the filtering process for me, I get a lot done. Because guess what? They can be wrong. And if I am truly seeking the similarities, that's key for me. If I'm seeking the similarities and I am brutally honest, I'm going to find the answer. It may not be the answer I want, but I will find the proper answer. And guess what? Another thing that a dear mentor of mine taught me, there's not just one right answer. I didn't know that. I was so stressed out over, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, my whole life, there I am in the future. And so now it's getting so much easier for me. If I start feeling guilty about the past, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly where my mind is. And I know it's in an unhealthy spot. And then all of a sudden my mind shifts to the future and it starts worrying about, well, if I do this, then this is going to happen. And I know, I'm not supposed to be there either. And if I keep doing that enough times, I begin to fall right into the now. And in the now, in the present, my gut works really well. In the past and in the future, my gut doesn't read well. It can even be polar opposite sometimes. But inside that other, I still don't totally trust it, but it begins to give me a better barometer of, okay, I'm heading in the right direction. So once I get that information, and then once I understand they could be wrong, and then I take their process. I look for the similarities. I've got that foundation built, and then I start running a pros and cons sheet using a lot of their wisdoms, and I put it down in there because I'd look for the similarities. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. So that's me assimilating all the information I can to the best of my abilities. And I'm going to tell you what, that's a job. And when you're sitting there doing that, guess what you don't have time to do? Worry. Because you're action. Motion, motion, motion. Absolutely could be heading in the wrong direction. Move. And if I'm moving with the right filter group, I'm not going to be moving in the wrong direction. Now, if I've got the wrong filter group around me, I absolutely could be heading into a ambush, no doubt. The greatest tool that I have, thank you. The greatest tool that I have today for me is I don't know. I don't know. I don't know everything. I don't even know where to go get everything. You want to talk about staying humble? Humble is not humiliation. There's a big difference. I don't know if you can even build the foundation of what needs to be built until I understand that humility and humbleness are two totally different things. Humbleness is understanding that I can't do all this alone. Humiliation is being embarrassed that I can't do all this alone. It's such a small little shift mentally, but such a huge adjustment in the path that I go. Woo! That's some good stuff. With my kids, I call those nuggets. Man, there's some nuggets being dropped right there. And it doesn't come from me. This stuff is taught, and that keeps me humble because I didn't learn this. When I thought I'd learned all this through all my life experiences and business and this, that, and the other, it didn't last. It could go for a while. Hey, Trace. But it sure didn't last. So once I've run it through my filter groups, then I begin to listen to my gut. And that's where the gut and the God get in with me. Because now I've done my work. This is how I see it. I've done my work, and I believe it's honored. I don't believe I get what I want. I'm not into all that blessing kind of stuff. Yep, there's another young lady on here that says at 50, I thought I knew a lot. But you'll know something? I know a lot of, this is another thing. I moved out at 17. I knew a lot of stupid old people. I knew a lot of ignorant old people. I knew a lot of ignorant young people. So I began to realize age didn't dictate wisdom. Life experiences did. And if you ran through life experiences faster, well, at 25, you could be pretty wise, especially if you learned cycles and patterns and you learned how to transpose those from one situation to another situation. I didn't have that ability. I had to experience each one individually. My daddy always said, that's not true, my daddy didn't say this, but I always say that to my kids. My daddy always said, if you're going to be stupid, you better be tough. Now, my daddy did say, welcome to the RRW, the real world. Nobody cares. In this world of hurt people hurting people, nobody cares. Or a very limited few care. And how do you find them? By watching what they do. I tell people a lot, you keep listening to what I say, and I'll keep listening to what you do. Yeah, Tracy, it gets deep in here sometimes. Okay, here's another thing. I can't have any yes women or men in my life. They got to be brutally honest. The hardest part for me is the wait hold. And so when do I know to move? Because opportunities arise, and I can lean on the door hard to try to get there. Well, that's when I rinse and repeat. So when an opportunity arises, I go back to my filter group and I filter it back through because I don't trust my ideas, and the process begins over and over. And once I've done it enough times, it becomes through focused repetition. I love those words, focused repetition. I do it in everything in life, in training. Think about the military. Get down, get up, get down, get up, get down, get up. Over and over and over and over. Medical. I have a lot of medical people that watch us that join in on TikTok. They practice over and over and over. Hairdressers. I mean, everything is focused repetition. Why would my spiritual walk or me learning to flex my mental capacities be any different? I've got to use the tools that are out there. And now the tools are shifting. I mean, we got ChatGPT. We got AI. People are not thinking for themselves anymore. I'm not saying that it's bad in all ways, but I think where it gets eerie for me is when you begin to ask them questions. I got a podcast. I got a live member just ate a gummy. It's legal. She's very intelligent too, by the way. Our relationships are growing and they're different. You'll know something? Social media, a little weird for me. I did not expect to have the relationships I have with some of these people that are on TikTok. I mean, we talk, we have relations. I know one young lady, I know her real name, but I'm just going to use Princess. Her daughter was going to be the captain on the soccer team. She was going for it. Didn't know if she was going to make it or not. And so we all played a song and cheered her on. And the next day we got to hear whether or not she made it or not. By the way, Bean, you made it. Love you. Proud of you. Never even met the young lady. And yet I literally got so excited when Bean was made the captain on her soccer team. I'm in Florida. They're way up there up in the Northwest. I have another friend, Miss Candace, that's over in Northwest, the state of Washington. And I know as much, if not more, about her and her life. Angie's north of me. And it goes on and on. Tracy, I know about Tracy's life. At least, and it grows as people stay around. And all of a sudden, are we talking to the humans in our life as much as we're talking to people on social media? I gotta be careful of that as well. Especially when they're eating gummies. Oh, that is too funny. I have not found, when I have filtered through 3 to 4 peoples that have proven themselves in action, my ideas, and truly actively listen for the similarities, that I have not found a way out of or an ability to live in uncertainty. Because uncertainty comes to us all. So then what do you do with it? Well, I can go to the past, live in regret, and go to the future and live in worry, or I can keep myself right in the now, and I can be an active listener and an active participant in the solutions, not the problems. I had a mentor that used to tell me this: "Hey, Brett, Why don't you try being an asset and not an asshole? He did. And I thought that was hilarious. Today, I want to be an asset. And the way I'm an asset is I surround myself with people that will tell me the truth. And I'm going to tell you something about family. If you don't get it from family, that's okay. Sometimes the greatest respect you can show family is to not keep bringing up what they don't want to deal with. That doesn't mean I don't have to deal with it, but I'm going to have my filter group around that I'm going to run it through. I love that Imagine Dragons. Mel, what's that song where Imagine Dragon where he has the little kids writing in the book on the video? This is where sometimes TikTok's really good. Mel is dynamic at music. Other things too, but you know. She also jumped like 6'3". She was a high jumper in college. Mel, do you know that the Imagine Dragons with a kid in it? Anyways, it's talking about dealing with, what's the name of it? She said yes. It's talking about dealing with your youth. Now, he doesn't come right out and say it, but if 80% of who I am is established by the time I'm 8 or 9 years old, then I've got to understand what made that young man for me, what made that young woman for some of you, for me to understand what the foundation was built on. And yet the world tells you, don't talk about it. I'm here to tell you, my opinion, you must talk about it to grow. Yeah, it's called Demons. The name of the song is Demons. I'll put a link to it on the podcast in the description. And it is a dynamic video of him dealing with his childhood. And I'll let you see the interpretive video and y'all decide. By Imagine Dragons. What a neat conversation. Living in uncertainty. If I am not in uncertainty, then I'm heading to it. If I'm not heading to it, I'm heading out of it. I have not found many times in my life where it's just an even kill. There's always the bumps in the road. I want the bumps to be obstacles that I can't prevent. I don't want them to be obstacles that are preventable by having the right filter group. And when I'm processing all that, there is no time for past and future. I'm in the now and I'm fighting right where I need to be. And that's where I am today. And that's why with all the chaos I have around me in life today, I really do have serenity. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have moments of absolute panic. It's human nature. But it's what do I do with it? Because they taught me I'm not held accountable for my first thoughts. I'm held accountable for what I do with my first thoughts. That saved my life. That means I wasn't going to hell on my first thought. Because I was going to hell before 7 a.m. every morning. I didn't like my brother. I didn't like my teacher. I didn't like something. So I wanted somebody to die. I hope you die. You know, I was always whining about something. And so as I got older, man, that lightning bolt it was scary. And then I realized, no, I didn't realize. I was taught that it's what I do with the thought. Do I accept that thought? Do I bring it into my head and nurture it and grow it and build on it? Or do I go, that's not for me? And do I wait for the thoughts that are healthy and looking for similarities and are filtered through my group? Because when I can get all that together, then my gut begins to activate. And that's the proper use of my gut. And it only came through with using my self-will in the right spot. If I'm wasting it in the past and the future, I'm not going to get the answers, and I'm not going to have the serenity living through the uncertainty of life. Physical turmoil, financial turmoil, business, children. I can actually be at peace in all of that, and not a selfish peace. If I'm at peace because, well, F them, I don't have to worry. That's not what I'm looking for. Some people get it through praying for their enemies. I don't, not one bit. As a matter of fact, if you really, I'm gonna bring Nathan Dowd back in here because he shared with me some interesting things about even in the Bible where there's a time where I don't have to forgive somebody without them following the proper biblical protocol. I didn't know that. I felt it. That doesn't mean you don't. That doesn't mean that I just absorb my time with it. I don't think that's what that means. But it also means that I can understand that there's a snake on the ground, and if I walk by that snake close enough, that snake's gonna bite me. We don't have to be stupid. Well, I will be stupid alone, and so I have my filter group. And my filter group changes. I allow it to change. I do something that drives a lot of people crazy. I have some people that will call me wishy-washy. I allow myself to change my mind whenever I like. Whenever I like. Whenever I like. I did it with my kids. I did it when I was punishing them. You're going to your room. You're on restriction for 3 days. But yet my God gives me mercy and grace. So why would I hold them to the letter of the law of 3 days? I got to teach them mercy and grace in the small little details of life. So I would go in there and I go, you know what? My Savior would give me mercy and grace. I'm giving you mercy and grace. Here's your phone back. And I'd turn around and walk away. They're like, I thought I was in here all weekend. And they would have an awesome weekend. And they learned something along the way. And it taught me. Teaching others teaches me more than I ever am able to teach someone else. When I get to mentor another with emotional, I'm not a counselor, but with emotional or addictions, and I get to tell my story, and it's able to resonate with someone to the point that they're able to use it to grow themselves. There's no better drug in this world for me. And all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, sometimes ever so gradual, my situation begins to change. And I don't think it's necessarily because of what I'm doing. I think it's because of what I'm focused on. And I think the time frame sometimes may actually be the same. It's just how I choose to go through it. Boom. You're right, it is deep. But it's valid. Thank y'all for walking with me today. Thank you for All About the Grind. Thank you for my TikTok family. You folks matter to me. I have grown immensely in these 38 episodes, and we have more to go. I'm so grateful that person didn't show up tonight, because we would have never gotten to any of this. And I gained more nuggets out of this than I think I ever would have gotten out of another guest. So I'm very grateful. Listen, if you want to find us, you can come on TikTok as well. I'm on at Drift with Brett. Drift with Brett. I'll put it in the description as well. Make sure you subscribe, share, tell your friends and family. I've got somebody here, Miss Junebug, and her husband. And that's not her real name. You don't get to know her real name yet. But her husband was on the Discovery Channel and has proof, has proof of Yetis and other cool things, sounds, video. We're going to have them playing on here. Make sure you stay tuned. No, it's not going to be next week. We're still setting it up. But I found them on TikTok. That's what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is get you out of here. And all of a sudden, Dave has me set up where it is not my video. So I'm not chasing it. I'm not chasing the sound. This will be the first one where we do not get our intro out of here. And I'm good with that. Thank you, folks, for staying. Thank you, folks, for showing. You know what? I will overlap the exit on this. That'll be the one editing I do here. I mean, I edited Catherine there for a minute. She said somebody's name, so I put a voice over it. I try to help. You guys matter. You ladies matter. See y'all soon. Have a great day.